Hey everybody, what's up? So have you ever loved an object, like a thing, so much that it goes beyond rational thought? Well, I'm riding one of those things right now. Hey everyone, I'm Tom and this is Shifter, a channel about urban cycling and bike commuting. Welcome to all you new subscribers out there. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing yourself. So the single most common question I'm asked on this channel, and this is like a legit thing, I'm actually asked this question. It's not like one of those times a YouTuber says that just because they want to make a video, but I actually get asked this question a lot is, hey, what's that bike you're riding? And I've done a couple of videos about the bike I ride in the winter time because riding through snow and ice can be tough, and it's a difficult question in the winter. But this is the bike I ride almost every day in the summertime, and I've never really done a video on this bike. And there's a simple reason I've never done a video on this bike, and that's because I've been kind of embarrassed about it because it's so simple. There's not a lot to talk about. It's not that exciting. Okay, here's the specs on it. The brand is SE. It's an SE Triple. It's about 10 years old. It's got flakes of rust all over it. It's got a 3-speed internal coaster hub at the back. It's got coaster brakes, so you pedal backwards to brake. And that's about it. It's got some dents and scratches from when I've crashed a few times, but that's it. That's about all there is to say about it. Well, there is one other thing to say about it, and that's in the 10 years I've had this bike, I've never had a tune-up. And that makes me a super bad bike owner, I know, but I'm actually going to get it tuned up for the first time ever. And in doing that, it kind of got me thinking about, why do I love this bike so much? And because it's me and I tend to overanalyze these things, before I take this bike for a tune-up, I gave my old friend Carly a call.
My name's Carly Coleman, former traffic reporter, researcher. I'm doing my PhD research.
I've known Carly for about 10 years, and she recently completed a master's thesis on
how people form and maintain attachment to their bicycles.
Carly and I had a great conversation, and I think I could listen to her talk about this subject all day. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to cut most of what she said for brevity's sake, but she did break down these emotional connections into 5 things, and I want to talk about these 5 things right now. Number 1 is childhood. Carly found that the bike is...
It's one of the few things that we have from our childhood that we still use in the same way.
And because of that, we have really strong emotional ties, we have really strong memories, and I'd say even a sense of nostalgia about the bike. Makes sense, right?
So there's memory, there's emotion, there's our body. It's all slammed together to create this really strong connection.
Number 2 is that the bike is a transmitter of information. Whether you like it or not, when you're riding a bike, people who see you get information about you from that.
And you transmit information about yourself to the world. So people look at you and they think, there's Tom. Tom must be whatever people believe about bikes. People might believe that you're quite radical, lefty, a tree hugger, an environmentalist, for all the reasons that you're riding your bike, right? The bicycle is this object that creates and maintains aspects of your identity.
I see this because in my office, for example, I'm known as the guy who rides his bike to work. But other people who ride a bike in a different kind of way have the same sort of thing. There are road cyclists who identify as roadies, and there are mountain bikers who are seen as part of a tribe.
If you're riding a tandem with your beloved, you're clearly projecting a different image than if you're bombing downhill with a full face helmet on.
Bikes can really become a part of our identity and an important part of how other people view us and how we project ourselves in the world. Number 3 is bikes give you a real connection to place. When you ride your bike through an environment, you more vividly experience that environment, especially more so than in a car where you're really cut off and isolated from the world around you.
As you ride this object that you have created this deep love for or attraction to, you reinforce all your community relations, all your sense of self, all of that stuff in your community. So you develop really strong bonds to wherever you are.
Riding through a place on your bike engages almost all of your senses. You know, you hear it, you can smell it, you see it. All of those things give you a real connection to place, which ties into the way we feel about the bike.
You get on your bike, it's physically part of you now. You become this bike person, not necessarily Tom and his bike, independent of each other. You know, you can feel the road, feel the wind. If you hit a pothole, you know it. These are moments that are actually tangible that you don't get when you're sitting in a car.
Number 4 is age. The participants in Carly's study also found that bikes were seen by society at large sometimes as child's toys, and the fact that they rode them into adulthood was some kind of contravention of societal norms, which helped build a connection to the bicycle.
Bikes helped you as a child. They helped you figure out autonomy, competence, and relatedness. It's maybe you're out with your friends, maybe you're out by yourself. You're navigating the world on your own terms, physically learning about the world. You're learning this street will get you home faster than that street, or this street has a really big hill and it's a whiz to go down, but man alive, coming back up is a bit of a job.
And the 5th one is that the bike was seen as a sign of social change. The participants that Carly interviewed in her study saw that the bike is really helping fuel a change in the way cities develop, a change in transportation, a change in climate action, I should say. Even the image of the bike itself was changing from the idea of a children's toy into an adult mode of transportation. And with these changing societal norms, their sense of identity and what it meant to ride a bike was also changing as well. I think there's a lot to this too. It does kind of play into this stereotype of the urban cyclist as, you know, the self-righteous lefty. I don't think there's a lot of like truth to this, but there is a stereotype of, you know, that cyclists clip-clopping into a public meeting to voice their outrage about bike lanes. But I do think that the way that this fuels identity and the way people look at bicycles is absolutely changing. It does seem to have become a bit of a vehicle for that change. So those are the 5 reasons that Carly found that people love their bikes so much, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And I hope I haven't butchered her 5 reasons. You should definitely go read her study yourself. Carly also challenged me to think about why I love this bike so much, and as I head to get it tuned up, I have been thinking about that too. And I think part of why I love it is my negligent care of it in the first place. Have you ever owned a dog and maybe after a while you get a little bit slack in your care for that dog and maybe you're not giving it as much time as you should, but every day when you come home, the dog is happy to see you? That's this bike to me. It's just always been there for me. I can always count on it. Other bikes I've owned are way more needy. They need tune-ups, the derailleurs go out of whack, they just demand constant attention. This bike is not like that. I can always count on it. This bike definitely treats me better than I treat it. So I just want to say thanks to Carly for helping me understand why I have this irrational love for this bike. And maybe after all that, it's not so irrational at all. It makes a ton of sense. And now that I've articulated my emotional connection to this piece of steel and rubber, I'm going to get it tuned up and I vow to treat it much better in the future. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of that. I sure did. See you next time.